Welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie. We took a few weeks off, but we're back with our Friday Reads picks. And this week is Laboratory Week, something near and dear to me. That's what my college degree is in. I have a Bachelor of Science in Medical Technology. So for all you laboratory professionals and science geeks out there, these picks are for you because remember, without the lab, you're only guessing. So I'm going to turn it over to Jill for her first pick.
My first one is called Anyone by Charles Soule. Charles Soule brings his signature knowledge and wariness of technology to his sophomore novel, set in a realistic future about a brilliant female scientist who creates a technology that allows for the transfer of human consciousness between bodies and the transformations this process wreaks upon the world. Inside a barn in Ann Arbor, Michigan, a scientist searching for an Alzheimer's cure throws a switch and finds herself miraculously transported into her husband's body. What begins a botched experiment will change her life and the world forever. After over 2 decades later, all across the planet, flash technology allows individuals the ability to transfer their consciousness into other bodies for specified periods, paid, registered, and legal. Society has been utterly transformed by the process from travel to warfare to entertainment. By anyone, with anyone, the tagline of the company offering this ultimate out-of-the-body experience. But beyond the reach of the law and the government regulators is a sordid black market called the dark share, where desperate vessels anonymously rent out their bodies, no questions asked, for any purpose. Drugs, sex, crime, or worse. I don't know what's worse. You'll have to read. Anyone masterfully weaves a present-day story of the discovery and development of the Flash with the gritty tale of one woman's crusade to put an end to the darkness it has brought to the world 25 years after its creation. So, anyone.
My first pick is Lab Girl by Hope Jahren. This was published in 2016. Acclaimed scientist Hope Jahren has built 3 laboratories in which she's studied trees, flowers, seeds, and soil. This is her first book, and it's a book about work, love, and the mountains that can be moved when those 2 things come together. It's told through her stories about her childhood in rural Minnesota with an uncompromising mom and a father who encouraged hours of play in his classroom labs, about how she found a sanctuary in science and learned to perform lab work done with both the heart and the hands, and about the inevitable disappointments, but also the triumphs and the exhilarating discoveries of scientific work. Yet at the core of the book is a story of a relationship the author forged with a brilliant wounded man named Bill, who becomes her lab partner and her best friend. Their sometimes rogue adventures in science take them from the Midwest, across the United States, and back again, over the Atlantic to the ever-light skies of the North Pole and to tropical Hawaii, where she and her lab currently make their home. So, Lab Girl.
The next one is by Ken Follett, which I don't think science is his normal thing, but maybe it is. It's called The Third Twin. Using a restricted FBI database, genetic researcher Jeannie Farami has located identical twins born to different mothers. Frightened by her bizarre discovery, she is determined to discover the truth at any cost, until she finds herself at the center of a scandal that could ruin her career. To fight the charges, Jeannie plunges into a maze of hidden evidence. With growing horror, she uncovers a cynical, far-reaching conspiracy involving disturbing genetic experiments and some of the most powerful men in America. Men who kill to keep their secrets concealed. So,
Ooh,
the third twin. A lot of drama with
there
science.
is. Who knew? My second pick is Her Hidden Genius by Marie Benedict. This was just published this year. Rosalind Franklin has always been an outsider. She's brilliant, but she's different. Whether working at the laboratory she adored in Paris or toiling at a university in London, she feels closest to the science, those unchanging laws of physics and chemistry that guide her experiments. When she is assigned to work on DNA, she believes she can unearth its secrets. Rosalind knows if she just takes one more X-ray picture, one more after thousands, she can unlock the building blocks of life. Never again will she have to listen to her colleagues complain about her, especially Maurice Wilkins, who'd rather conspire about genetics with James Watson and Francis Crick than work alongside Rosalind. Then it finally happens. The double helix structure of DNA reveals itself to her with perfect clarity. But what unfolds next, Rosalind could have never predicted. This novel shines a light on a woman who sacrificed her life to discover the nature of our very DNA. a woman whose world-changing contributions were hidden by the men around her, but whose relentless drive advanced our understanding of humankind. So her hidden genius.
The next one's kind of an older one. You've probably heard of it. And it's a different side of science. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. It's by Rebecca Skloot, who is a journalist. It is nonfiction, and it's about a woman who is part of experiments for cancer and stuff without her consent, to be honest.
My.
Her name was Henrietta Lacks, but scientists know her as Gila. She was a poor southern tobacco farmer who worked the same land as her enslaved ancestors. Yet her cells, taken without her knowledge, became one of the most important tools in medicine. The first immortal human cells grown in culture, they are still alive today, though she has been dead for more than 60 years. If you could pile all Gila cells ever grown onto a scale, they'd weigh more than 50 million metric tons, as much as 100 Empire State Buildings. Gila cells were vital for developing the polio vaccine, uncovered secrets of cancer, viruses, and the atom bomb's effects, helped lead important advances like in vitro fertilization, cloning, and gene mapping, and have bought and sold by millions. Yet Henrietta Lacks remains virtually unknown, buried in an unmarked grave. Now Rebecca Skloot takes an extraordinary journey from the colored ward of Johns Hopkins Hospital in the 1950s to stark white laboratories with freezers full of Gila cells. From Henrietta's small dying hometown of Clover, Virginia, a land of wooden quarters and enslaved people, faith healings, and voodoo, to East Baltimore today, where her children and grandchildren live and struggle with the legacy of her cells. Henrietta's family did not learn of her immortality until more than 20 years after her death, when scientists investigating Gila began using her husband and children in research without informed consent. And though the cells had launched a multi-million-dollar industry that sells human biological materials, her family never saw any of the profits. As Rebecca Skloot brilliantly shows, the story of the Lacks family, past and present, is inextricably connected to the history and experimentation on African Americans, the birth of bioethics, and the legal battles over whether we control the stuff we are made of. So it's a really important book and really
It's a good pick, Jill. My next pick is An Embarrassment of Witches by Sophie Goldstein, published in 2020. And this one is for all of you who requested more fantasy titles in our picks. It's a coming-of-age urban fantasy set in a world full of animal familiars, enchanted plants, and spell casting that explores the mundane horrors of breakups, job searches, and postgraduate existential angst. Life after college isn't turning out exactly as Rory and Angela had planned. Rory, recently dumped at the gate of her flight to Australia, needs to find a new life path ASAP. What do you do with a BA in communications and a minor in Southeast Asian spellcraft? Maybe her cute new housemate Guy is the answer she's looking for. Spoiler alert, he is not. Meanwhile, Angela is buckling under the pressure of a high-stakes internship in a cutting-edge cryptopharmacology lab run by Rory's controlling mom, who doesn't know Rory is still in town. And Angela hates keeping secrets. An Embarrassment of Witches is the story of two childhood friends learning how to be adults and hoping their friendships can survive that change.
My next pick is another nonfiction. It's called Broadband, The Untold Story of the Women Who Made the Internet by Claire Evans. Women are not ancillary to the history of technology. They turn up at the very beginning of every important wave, but they're often hidden in plain sight, their inventions and contributions touching our lives in ways we don't even realize. Author Claire Evans finally gives these unsung female heroes their due with their social history of broadband, the women who made the internet what it is today. Learn from Ada Lovelace, the daughter of Lord Byron, who wove numbers into the first program for a mechanical computer in 1842. Seek inspiration from Grace Hopper, the tenacious mathematician who democratized computing by leading the charge for machine-independent programming languages after World War II. Meet Elizabeth Jake Fandler, the one-woman Google who kept her earliest version of the internet online, and Stacey Horn, who ran one of the first ever social networks on a shoestring out of a New York City apartment in the 1980s. Evans shows how these women built and colored the technologies we can't imagine life without. So, yeah. So women who invented the internet way back in the 1800s started. Wow.
My next pick's also another nonfiction pick. This is the Poisoners Handbook, Murder and the Birth of Forensic Medicine in Jazz Age New York by Deborah Bloom, published in 2010. This author, writing with the high style and skill for suspense that is characteristic of the very best mystery fiction, shares the untold story of how poison rocked Jazz Age New York. In the Poisoners Handbook, she draws from highly original research to track the fascinating, perilous days when a pair of forensic scientists began their trailblazing chemical detective work, fighting to end an era where untraceable poisons offered an easy path to the perfect crime. Drama unfolds case by case as the heroes in the Poisoner's Handbook, Chief Medical Examiner Charles Norse and toxicologist Alexander Gettler, investigate a family mysteriously stricken bald, Barnum and Bailey's famous blue man, factory workers with crumbling bones, a diner serving poisoned pies, and many others. Each case presents a deadly new puzzle, and Norris and Gettler work with creativity that rivals that of the most imaginative murderer, creating revolutionary experiments to tease out even the wiliest compounds from human tissue. Yet in the tricky game of toxins, even science can't always be trusted, as proven when one of Gettler's experiments erroneously sets free a suburban housewife later nicknamed America's Lucretia Borgia to continue her nefarious work. From the vantage of these two's laboratory in the infamous Bellevue Hospital, it becomes clear that killers aren't the only toxic threat to New Yorkers. Modern life has created a kind of poison playground, and danger lurks around every corner. Automobiles choke the city streets with carbon monoxide. Potent compounds such as morphine can be found on store shelves in products ranging from pesticides to cosmetics. Prohibition incites a chemist's war between bootleggers and government chemists, while in Gotham's crowded speakeasies, each round of cocktails becomes a game of Russian roulette. Norris and Gettler triumph over seemingly unbeatable odds to become the pioneers of forensic chemistry and the gatekeepers of justice during a remarkably deadly time in history. This book is a beguiling concoction that is equal parts true crime, 20th century history, and science thriller. So the Poisoner's Handbook.
I think poison is underused. My next one is a YA novel, and it's written from two different points of view, so it's kind of a funky thing. It's called Replica by Lauren Oliver. Lyra. From a distance, the Haven Institute, tucked away in a private island off the coast of Florida, looks serene and even beautiful. But up close to the locked doors, military guards in biohazard suits tell a different story. In truth, it's a clandestine research facility where thousands of replicas, or human models, are born, raised, and observed. But when a surprise attack is launched on Haven, two of its young experimental subjects, Lyra, or 24, and a boy only known as 72, manage to escape. As they make their way through the new and menacing environment, they meet a stranger named Gemma, who has embarked on a perilous quest of her own. And as Lyra tries to understand Haven's purpose, she uncovers earth-shattering secrets that will change the lives of both girls. Then there's part of it that's written by Gemma's point of view. Gemma has been in and out of hospitals her whole life. A sickly child, she has grown into a lonely adolescent whose life is circumscribed by home, school, and her best friend April. But after she is nearly abducted by a stranger claiming to know her, Gemma starts to investigate her family's past and discovers her father's mysterious connection to the secretive Haven Research Facility. Hungry for answers, she travels to Florida only to stumble upon two human models, or replicas, 72 and 24, and completely new set of questions. As Gemma tries to unravel the mysteries of Haven, she learns terrible truths about herself and her family that will threaten to destroy everything she loves. So, a little bit different book for you.
My last pick is Intuition by Allegra Goodwin, published in 2007. This novel has been described as an intricate mystery and a rich human drama set in the high-stakes atmosphere of a prestigious research institute in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Sandy Glass is a charismatic, publicity-seeking oncologist, and Marion Mendelssohn, a pure exacting scientist, and they are the co-directors of a lab at the Philpott Institute dedicated to cancer research and desperately in need of a grant. Both mentors and supervisors of their young postdoctoral prodigies, Glass and Mendelssohn demand dedication and obedience in a competitive environment where funding is scarce and results elusive. So when the experiments of Cliff Banneker, a young postdoc in a rut, begin to work, the entire lab becomes giddy with newfound expectation. But Cliff's rigorous colleague and girlfriend, Robin Decker, suspects the unthinkable, that his findings are fraudulent. As Robin makes her private doubts public and Cliff maintains his innocence, a life-changing controversy engulfs the lab and everyone associated with it. With extraordinary insight, this author brilliantly explores the intricate mixture of workplace intrigue, scientific ardor, and the moral consequences of a rush to judgment. This book has been described as an unforgettable novel if you read it. She's also the author of other books, Total Immersion, The Family Markowitz, so you may be familiar with Allegra Goodwin's books, but I have not read her stuff.
I've not read her either. So, well, we hope we helped you find something to read if you like the laboratory setting or science.
If it's what interests you, yeah, pick up one of these books. They have some interesting topics in them, and they're going to make you think, I believe. So thank you so much for watching. We're happy to be back doing our Friday Reads picks. Like, comment, share. Our video will be on both our Facebook and on our website, so you know where to find us. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.